Following that breaking news in the NFL where the Dolphins are signing Odell Beckham Jr. to a one-year deal. That's been confirmed by our Jonathan Jones. That contract starts at $3 million and can reach up to $8.3 with incentives. The former Pro Bowl wide receiver last season, of course, spent the time with the Ravens after missing 2022 with a torn ACL, but did tally 565 yards and 3 touchdowns for the Ravens. He'll now join a stacked receivers corps there that headlines with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. You take a look at those numbers coming off that season that we saw where he missed that 22 season. The numbers are uptick, almost similar to what we saw in those days when he's with Cleveland and maybe even the Giants and Rams, but now heading to South Beach with the Dolphins. For more on this, I want to bring in our Jonathan Jones. And JJ, this is a reaction to where you're adding more speed. You already had that element, but now you add OBJ. Your reaction to that?
Well, obviously, Brandon, this happens after the draft so that it doesn't count against the compensatory pick formula for the Dolphins. We just saw it with the Dallas Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott. We will continue to see it over the next couple of weeks with a lot of names who are probably, a little bit older, have some bumps and bruises along the way. You're going to see that with a lot of teams, and that's why. So it doesn't count against maybe getting a 3rd, 4th, 5th round compensatory pick next year in the draft. So the Dolphins signing Odell Beckham Jr. to a deal that is very, very low risk for the Dolphins. I know the headline is obviously going to be $8.25 million contract. It's not that. It starts at $3 million, and then he's going to have to reach some incentives that we certainly will see whether he can or not. It took him a little while last season with the Baltimore Ravens to get going. Not a surprise since he didn't play in the 22 season, as you note, as he continued to recover from that ACL surgery. But I would just note the going rate right now for wide receivers, right, at the top of the market. We have already broken the $30 million per year mark. The fact that OBJ at a base is at 3, if you want to split the difference and call this a $5 million deal, a year after he signed a 1-year $15 million deal, probably tells you what his market was, the realistic sort of expectations that the Miami Dolphins have, and frankly, that Odell Beckham Jr., who will be 32 this upcoming season, has for himself.
32 years of age, as you noted there, but also he still has some experience, of course, winning that Super Bowl with the Rams not too long ago. If you're looking at Tua or Tyreek Hill, how does he help this offense here in the future?
Well, he certainly helps this team as a veteran presence. There's no question about it. I think the Baltimore Ravens, to a man, would talk about how great he was there in the locker room last season, dealing with injuries, not necessarily getting the ball as often as he probably wanted to, certainly what he had been expecting in his 20s, of course. But this is a guy who goes there. You have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, and then there's sort of that open competition for wide receiver number 3. And could it be Odell Beckham Jr.? Sure, absolutely. They have Braxton Berrios, and of course, they have a commitment to the run game and all that they can do coming off of so much run action. I'm not necessarily concerned with the later round day 3 picks that the Dolphins made at wide receiver. I know that they picked up some guys. It certainly seems like this is going to be Odell Beckham's wide receiver 3 position to lose once they really get into training camp. So they have the speed element there with their 2 wideouts. There's no question. And they're certainly going to have to start planning for the future because it starts to seem a little impossible to keep Tyreek Hill in 2025 and Jalen Waddle. The thought around the league is they would keep Jalen Waddle and move on from Tyreek Hill, and that would just be based entirely off of salary concerns. But for the time being right now, you have that savvy vet who can play and play very well in that division in the AFC East. And so I like this pickup, again, especially for the price for the Miami Dolphins.
We'll see what happens here with OBJ, of course, the closer we get to OTAs and training camp throughout the rest of the summer. As always, Jonathan Jones, appreciate you with the breaking news here when it comes to OBJ heading to the Dolphins. Take a look at it. When we talk about that offense and the 3-headed monster they had just a season ago, Tua at quarterback, Raheem Mostert, who was 31, by the way. A lot of people thought he was a little over the hump of 30 and couldn't produce. And also Tyreek Hill, first in every category from each 3 respectively. Tua over 4,600 yards. Raheem Mostert, 21 scrimmage touchdowns, and then receiving yards. Tyreek almost got to that 2,000, but battled a few injuries. We'll see what these 3 plus OBJ can do in 2024.